Now we're back here in studio live from iHeart Radio, beautiful South Tampa, Florida. And we've got Tara Richter in studio and also Rene Harris. She's an author of Flies in My Coffee. So let's go ahead to Rene here and talk a little bit about it. It's interesting. So hacking, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. What my book is about is how I hacked my own identity. Because we become defined by how we identify ourselves, it tends to create the life around our lives around us, our circumstances, who we draw into our lives. And so I had to take a real hard look at myself and my own life and the labels that I had put on myself and allowed people to put on me.
Right.
And I had discovered that I was playing the role of the victim, the martyr, and, labeling myself unlovable, unworthy. And it wasn't until you come to the point where enough is enough that you need to make a change.
Right.
And that's when you can start hacking those things, and your life starts to change around you, even though your circumstances at first may not change. But the changes that take place within you are so big that your outside has to comply. It has to change. And so that's what it's about, and my journey through that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like a lot of times in business and life, it's talking about kind of reflecting what Tom just said too. Is the personal development. The personal development with people. It's a lot of times they turn their shoulds into musts.
Absolutely.
You get to that point where it's there's more pain not to do it than there is to do it, and you're moving closer to pleasure as well.
Absolutely, and you get to that point in your life where things start to happen, doors start to close, whether it's in personal or business or in your relationships, where you have to define who you're going to be next in order to see the growth or success that you want to see in your life. You have to become the person that draws that to you.
Right.
And once you get to that point and there is no plan B, you start going there, you start becoming that, you start identifying yourself as that, and people start to identify you with that new successful outlook that you have on yourself.
That's right. Yeah, it's all within. I forgot the saying, but the within becomes the within. The outside.
Absolutely.
And we're talking with Rene Harris. She's an author here in Tampa Bay. Flies in My Coffee, and she worked with Tara Richter. Let's go ahead and bring Tara into the conversation. So you worked with Maureen on this lovely book. Awesome project.
Yeah, we. I'm trying to think how long it took to edit and publish, because Maureen did the package where she wrote the manuscript, and then we came in and helped to edit, design the cover. Which, if you hold up the book, Maureen, we did this awesome photo shoot with my photographer Pierce Brunson, because we could not find flies.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any stock image of flies in coffee.
Hold it higher.
And so, since this Flies in My Coffee, I'm like, I really wanted that to be the cover of it because it's really impactful. It kind of makes you stop and think, like, why are there flies in your coffee? Wait, what's going on? And I remember that day when we did the photo shoot, I drove around all over Tampa Bay trying to find dead flies because I wanted a real fly and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, why is it so hard to find dead flies? But I couldn't. So we actually ended up photoshopping that fly, but it was real coffee and it was her coffee cup. And, and it turned out really good. And then in our magazine, Entrepreneur to Author, that, we had showcased all of the authors at the gala just a couple weeks ago. We have her right up in here as well. And so that was like another picture from the photo shoot, which I think it all turned out really well.
It turned out great.
Yeah, it was exciting. I know you probably thought I was crazy in the beginning. You're like, what do you want me to do?
So how's the book performing as well on, when it comes to Amazon? I know that's a part of the process. That's what Tom talked about, is the marketing side of these books. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, marketing is definitely hard. It's hard. It's difficult to write it. to edit it, to publish it, and the marketing is an ongoing process. And her book actually became a bestseller.
Nice.
In the category that we listed it, which it was in family relationships and domestic violence.
Very cool.
So it became, I think it went up to number 8 bestseller in that category. So yeah, her book is now an Amazon bestseller.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. And then she won the award for most inspirational story at the gala.
Nice.
That we had a couple weeks ago here, because it's an amazing story. You have to read it. I mean, it sucks you in, and you can't stop turning the pages, and because it takes you on this like emotional roller coaster of how people let themselves get sucked into those situations. Mm-hmm. We always kind of wonder, like, why wouldn't somebody leave if something's that bad?
Right.
Why don't you just pack up your stuff and go? But like Marine's saying, it's this mental thing that you get yourself trapped in, of like, well, maybe I don't deserve to be with somebody better. Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. And unfortunately, it's those negative, patterns that keep us stuck in situations that we shouldn't be in.
That's right. Yeah, it's easy for your mind to play tricks on you, especially when you're experiencing stress in multiple ways. Sometimes it might be physical, and you got the mental tapped on it, and you got financial stress, spiritual stress. So there's all these different ways that you can see that. So all right, so we're talking book publishing today. We're talking writing your own book. We're talking how you can grow your sphere of influence, and I'm going to hold my book up again here. Tara and her team helped me write this book, as well as Connor Anthony, producer on the show, and sometimes he's a co-host on the show as well. But have you ever wanted to own your own radio show but didn't know where to start? Then this book is for you. Utilize Brandon's proven methods for success to become the most valuable player in your industry by harnessing the power of the radio waves. So, we had a lot of fun with the cover, and become the MVP in your industry by surfing the radio waves. And also we have one of Tara's authors in studio is here as well, Rene Harris, author of Flies in My Coffee, and of course Tara Richter in studio. So what else do you see reflecting on the process, Maureen? What else would be a good takeaway from that process? Just kind of thinking, the process, because the reason I ask this question is that there's a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs out there that have thought about writing the book. There's so many times I've talked to people about my books, and they say, yeah, I thought about it, but they never take the action. What's maybe your advice to those types of people?
Just sit down and do it. Yeah. Just start writing. And for me, it was because I do have a full-time job. I travel a lot, and I have kids. I had to discipline myself to just sit down and write one sentence. If I just wrote one idea or one sentence. And of course, once you sit down and you start writing, it's just going to flow, and just let it flow, and set aside a time that is going to be conducive for you to sit alone in an environment that's going to allow you to write undisturbed.
That's right.
But if you just take that one step, the rest of it will flow. Once you're there, there's no stopping.
That's right, yeah. And some people, they think about it as just this huge task. But if you really break it down, even if you just say, listen, I'm going to do 1 hour a week, you got 52 hours in the year that you can sit down and write down and slowly get it done. If that strategy doesn't work for you, if you want to do more of a Tony Robbins immersion style approach, then you sit down and you knock it out in a weekend, or a 3-day weekend. So it's something that really, for business professionals, real estate agent in my area here, also public speaker now, it's a way that you can really grow your sphere of influence, and you can change people's lives as well by doing it.
Absolutely. And once you discipline yourself and knowing that this is what you really want to do, and you start that process, and the inspiration that starts to come, because when you ask your brain a question, you're going to get an answer. That's right. And so it's just going to start to flow. And if you have to take a notebook with you, or, use your voice recorder on your phone or your tablet, or get a tape recorder, because those ideas will come, and they come in the most random places at the most random times.
Exactly.
And, your speaker
Tom
earlier
Hopkins was saying,
just write it down, just record it, just do it, because you'll forget it.
Yep. Capture those notes. I know one of the apps too that a lot of people use, a lot of entrepreneurs use, is called Evernote. And share it with your team. So Tara, Tara Richter here, Richter Publishing. what are you seeing out there in this space as well? I mean, I know you're on cutting edge. You got the new magazine now. What are you seeing on your side?
As far as like the writing and publishing and stuff, well, it's funny because like I'm actually now getting a ton of phone calls just from Google because people are interested in writing and publishing their books, and they just Google Tampa Bay publishers, and I'm #1 on Google, which is awesome. So I was having a phone call with this guy yesterday, and he was just saying, well, he had hired an editor to actually edit a proposal that he was trying to send out to the traditional publishers. And he's like, but now I've talked to you, and he's like, you can get it done. You can get it done fast. It sounds really easy. We can crack this thing out in like a couple months. And he's like, I don't really think I want to finish paying this editor to edit this proposal. Plus, it was taking him 2 months just to edit a proposal. I don't understand how long the proposal was, but we can edit a 200-page book in a week. So I don't know what editors he was using, but I was like, yeah, you don't need to write these proposals and submit it to the traditional publishing industry because you're just going to get turned down.
Yeah.
I mean, 99% of the people are turned down. Even, J.K. Rowling's, I think, with Harry Potter was turned down for years until somebody finally took a chance on her. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll take a chance. And then, it became this huge, obviously like international bestseller in movies and stuff. So the thing with my company is that, we take all the difficulty out of it. You don't have to write proposals and send your manuscript and, have it just thrown into a recycle bin or whatever. We work with the authors to make it a good book. And that's what, the traditional publishing doesn't do. They're not going to write the story for you.
Yeah.
And then you have to have it professionally edited before you even start submitting it. And then they just have so many books on their plate, they can't even handle it. And that was this one gentleman yesterday. He said, he's like, I want that hands-on approach. He's like, I want someone who's going to work with me through this. And that's what we do, since, we're publishing about 20 to 25 books a year. So that's 1 to 2 a month. And so we can give that one-on-one, the hands-on. When I have authors that get frustrated and they call me on the phone and they just have all this like going on, and I'm like, just calm down. Just like, let's, it's going to be okay. I'm like, that's why we're here. Let's schedule a meeting, come in my office, and let's sit down for a couple hours and let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's do this together. I mean, I have authors where I will sit with them and we'll go through the edits one by one together because, everybody works differently. So, obviously I figure out how people work and their personalities. And if you want to sit with me one-on-one, we'll sit down one-on-one and we'll go through this. And then there's some people that are just really, really fast and quick. And I mean, I've published authors I've never even met in person. Yeah. Which is awesome, Yeah. And some
Google
people,
Hangout?
No, we didn't even do that. We didn't do Skype, nothing.
Just phone.
Yeah, I mean, I just met with a lady from Denmark. A lady from Denmark found me on the internet, flew over to America to have a meeting with me. And I am just
That's
cool.
You're that awesome.
I know.
That's really cool.
It is. It makes me step back. Really? You came all the way to meet me? But it's because they don't have these companies like that over there. This is a new age of publishing, and I think since publishing has been around for eons and eons, the traditional publishers are having a harder time kind of adapting to the new way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's
changing a lot of industries. Real estate's changing. A lot of people go to the Z word. I don't even like to say the name of the site. They charge realtors a lot of money. But, a lot of industries are changing. And back to the other point is that, a traditional publisher, they're not even going to talk to you unless you're some type of a celebrity or you have some type of very unique niche or strategy. So if you just joined us, you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and published author as well, professional speaker. And we're talking with Tara Richter, the owner of Richter Publishing here in Tampa Bay, as well as Rene Harris, author of Flies in My Coffee. So yeah, it's it's a changing space, just like everything. The only thing certain is change, right? In this world.
Exactly. And if you don't adapt and change, then you're basically going to go out of business. So the whole thing about writing every day. I mean, that's what I give workshops on. I help people with. Because if you write 750 words a day for 28 days, it's 20,000 words, which is a 100-page 5x8 book.
Right.
Not that difficult.
That's right. You knock it out pretty quickly, and I tell you, when I go into a listing appointment or I go in to meet a potential guest for the show or a business owner that we're talking to about becoming a partner on the show, and I hand them my book as well as a business card, it acts as that glorified business card. It's going to further edify you before you even open your mouth and say anything about it. So it's a really cool strategy, and it's part of what we can help you do here with the show. We've got a lot of connections to introduce you to, and we want to help you win out there as a consumer advocate, also as a small business owner and entrepreneurship. We want you to think of us as your friend in the business. We're going to connect you. We're going to help you win. And we're in studio here live from iHeart Radio, beautiful South Tampa. And we want you to stay with us. We're also, when we come back, we're going to jump into our lightning round, top tips, things to do, things to avoid. And you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. Hey. So we are back here in studio. We've got Tara Richter, Richter Publishing, as well as an author, Rene Harris, author of Flies in My Coffee. So let's talk a little bit about the theme of the book and some of the backstory of the book.
The backstory is starts with my marriage, how I met my ex-husband, okay, and the process that I went through to becoming the identity and the role that I played, okay, in my marriage. And all of the incidences and circumstances that took me from a young girl marrying early and very innocent through mental and emotional abuse, and how that grew and how it
how
got
early
worse.
Did you get married?
I got married at 21.
21,
mm-hmm,
okay.
And 20 years later,
yeah.
And going through that, at 20, you don't know what your boundaries are.
Right.
You don't know what parameters you set on relationships or how to be treated, or telling people how to treat you, because you don't know what that is.
Yep.
There are several circumstances that can play a role in that. Your religion, how your parents interacted with each other while they were married, watching, his parents and their marriage.
Yep.
And ours tend to grow out of control. So I knew I had to make a change as these certain circumstances started to happen and things started to get worse. And
yep,
one of those things were the title of the book, The Flies in My Coffee. And it was actually a handful of flies, dead flies, in a cup of coffee that was served to me. And that served as a catalyst or a light switch.
Who served the coffee to you?
He did.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, her ex-husband.
Yeah.
So like a mental game, something like that?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
And
not
that's
just
how,
an accident.
Not an accident, not when it's a handful.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Maybe one falling in there.
That's intriguing. You got to check this out. Go to Amazon.com.
Absolutely.
Author of Flies in My Coffee, Rene Harris, in studio on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
That's okay. And that's when the life hacking had started long before then, when the little things started happening, and then they build up, and you almost build a resistance to it. But then there's a catalyst that happens, this thing that's flips a switch where
That's right.
you say enough is enough.
That's right.
And you have to move on. But to make changes in your life, you have to take responsibility for where you are at the time.
Yeah.
And decide that you want to be identified differently. You want to now set those boundaries, and you want to now put parameters that are not just protection, because that keeps you in a state of victimhood.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, you've got to make a move.
Yeah.
And to make a move, you got to pack up a few things. And one of them is the fear that kept you stagnant in the first place.
Right.
Pack it up and take it with you. You take your faith and you take some hope.
Right.
And your path will be lit for you.
Yeah.
As you start walking or catch a plane or however you have to get there.
I love it. Yeah. You got to man up at that point. The term man up kind of comes to mind.
Absolutely.
It's, hey, listen, get the backbone. Let's do it. We know what's right. We know what our mom or father taught us. We know what's best. We know what good from bad, good from evil. And that's when you step up and you just say, hey, this is something I'm going to do. I've got to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to lose all self-respect.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And because there are a lot of victims who've gone through a lot worse than I have. And hopefully some of the proceeds from this book can help. So on December 1st, we are holding a fundraiser. It's called the Sparkle of Hope Gala. It's going to be held at the Sand Pearl Resort at 6 p.m. I'll be there book signing, and we're just going to have a fantastic time raising funds for RCS and their Haven, which is a domestic shelter, or is a shelter for domestically abused women and their children. It's a safe haven.
It's a great cause, yeah. Absolutely. Great hotel, too. Sand Pearl, what day and time?
Sand Pearl Resort on Thursday, December 1st at 6 p.m.
Nice.
Come on out and see us.
Thursday, December 1st. Awesome. Tara?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. So
Absolutely.
I already got my tickets. We're going to be at the Sand Pearl Resort. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a great event. And it's something, that I think more people are giving awareness to. And there's a lot of organizations out there helping people, which is great. Because unfortunately, I think a lot of victims, they suffer in silence and they don't tell anyone, or they're afraid to reach out for help.
Right.
Because you never know with the person who's doing the abusing. Of course, you see all kinds of stuff that, keeps you in that fear-locked place. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great event. I'm going to be there. And I'll bring some copies of my magazines. So if anybody wants to get a copy of The Entrepreneur to Author, we also there's available on our website, which is richterpublishing.com. They're $5 each. And, we have a bunch of great authors in here, like the 20-some authors we had showcased at the awards gala. And, obviously all the books that are in here are available on Amazon. Yep. So you can even just go on Amazon. You can actually search by publisher. Yep. And if you put in Richter Publishing in Amazon in the advanced search option, all of my books that we published come up.
Cool. Yeah, and on the cover you got Kevin Harrington, one of the original Sharks. We'd love to get him on the show. We got to get him on the show.
Maybe we can get him to call in.
Yeah, get him to call in. I was at the
easier.
Amplify event last couple weeks ago with Dave and Dustin. They had that Amplify event in St. You're familiar with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in, him and Forbes, Riley.
Yeah.
And I met them both. And
Forbes cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. We just have so many great authors, so many great stories, so much information. I mean, every time I meet a new author and I help them write their books, it's just like, wow, this story is better than the last one. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's go ahead. It's tradition around here. Let's do our lightning round. All right, top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Let's start with Tara Richter here. Top tips, things to do, things to avoid, nuggets of advice.
Basically, like I always say, if you want to write your book, just sit down and write, like Maureen said. I mean, there's no good time to write. I call it, you have to create during chaos. There's never going to be, this is the best time to write a book. You got to sit down, you got to do it, write 750 words a day for, either once a day, every week, and you'll have a 20,000 word manuscript.
Awesome. Maureen?
If you want to change your life, hack it.
That's right.
Start with where you are, look at where you want to be, and start becoming that person you want to be, and take those steps, and life will evolve around you to help you have the most successful, most peaceful life that you can imagine.
That's right, yeah. And turn your shoulds into musts, like Tony Robbins says. Turn your shoulds into musts. It's the power of self-discipline, the ability to make yourself do what you should do, whether you feel like it or not. That's it boils down to that. It's you have a goal, you develop that idea in your mind. Now you've got to have the discipline to follow through and make it happen. And that's what it is. It's with it everything works. Without it nothing works. And a great quote from Jim Rohn is, "With discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons." Mm-hmm. So I want to thank Tara Richter, Richter Publishing, and also I want to thank Maureen for coming in as well, author of Flies in My Coffee.
Thank you.
And all of our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for engaging us on social media. And we always end the show with this common theme. It's please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Something as simple as packing up leftover food, groceries that you don't need, and handing that to the homeless person that you drive by to and from your commute from work. And also engage us here at the show at 813-917-1894, our consumer advocate hotline. Many ways that we can help you. We've got credit packages. We've got rent versus own analysis, a financial blueprint, a lot of resources for you. So we'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Have you always wanted to write a book? Do you have a manuscript that's been rejected time and time again by a traditional publishing house? Then you're in luck. Richter Publishing will make your dreams of becoming a published author a reality. Contact us today for your free 30-minute phone consultation. Go to www.richterpublishing.com. That's RICHTER publishing.com. and click on the Contact Us tab to schedule your session.